My name's Anna Cara.
And Tommy Henriksen, and we play in Crossbone Skully.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
My pleasure. So, Crossbone Skully released your debut album, Evil Ward Machine, this Friday, November 22nd. So, it's been a bit of a long campaign. So, how's it feeling in the camp going into it, finally coming out?
It's been a long time coming. It's been quite a while since it's been finished, and to me, it feels like it's just a bunch of excitement and release where it's like finally people can hear this.
Yeah. Is it frustrating in a way, like sitting on it for so long, knowing how good the material is and just not being able to do anything with it?
Frustrating is like a kind word. Let's see. We've been sitting around waiting, and I don't know what the wait was for, but I always look at it this way: it's the universe is waiting, so it's the right time right now at the right moment. So we go with it. You know what I mean? There's nothing you could do about it. You just go with the flow. But we've been waiting, and finally, I'm glad that everyone could hear it because it's a cool record. It's got a lot of cool stuff on it. It's not just heavy AC/DC. It's got some weird twists and turns also.
Yeah, well, on that subject, can you go into the album in a bit greater detail musically and what you're actually going for with the sound?
Um, well, of course, AC/DC, AC/DC, Alex Harvey, um, let's see, the Sex Pistols, a little bit of Kraftwerk, it's like there's so many, the Who, there's so many elements that I'm always like, just because it's like in your DNA, you know what I mean? It's like you're just born with this stuff, and it's like you just throw it in this blender and you just see what comes out, and hopefully, you get something. Sometimes you get lucky.
Mhm. There's a long list of singles that have been released, including Evil World Machine, there's Money, Sex, and God, Everyone's on Dope, I Am the Wolf, I'm Unbreakable, High on You, and The Boom Went the Boom. So that's a lot of songs to cover, mate. Does it come close to tapping into a good sonic representation of the album?
Awesome. Yes, what do you think?
Um, yeah, but it's funny because every song is so good and there's some tracks on there that really are gonna blow you away that haven't come out as a single, you know? Um, for example, The Sin Eater, The Last Night on Earth, Misfits of the Universe, like they're very powerful songs, very powerful. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I actually
yeah.
count seven singles there, mate. Like any band that can release seven singles off an album, you know it's going to be a bloody good album because that's a high ratio.
That's really sweet. The thing is, like, I thought we had like 13 singles, but it's just funny because there's so many songs when you're picking this stuff and you put on the record. It's like, all right, where do we want to turn over here instead of having it just, it's good to have the bangers, but it's also good to have those ones where you go, oh, I didn't know they could do that.
Mhm.
I don't want to have any like, there's no boundaries. It's sort of saying there's no like, we're just gonna sound like this.
Mhm.
I want to sound when I'm thinking of this shit. It's like I'm thinking like the Who when they do like you know won't get fooled again. Then they'd go into Eminence Front, and then or Queen, Radio Gaga, every crazy little thing called Love. We will rock you. That's the whole idea of this. You know what I mean? David Bowie. It's like that type of stuff where I don't want to be pigeonholed into having that certain sound. I want to be able to cross genres.
Sure. And two of those songs feature guest artists. You got High on You, who's got Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue, and The Boom Went the Boom features Phil Collen from Def Leppard. So tell us how they came to be involved with each song and what they actually brought to each track.
Nikki Six was up first because when I was speaking, when they brought this feature thing up, I'm old school, and as soon as I heard like features, I was like, what's that? You know, They're like, well, we want you to feature someone on your songs. I was like, why? I don't want anybody on the songs. You know what I mean? I don't need anybody on the songs. So I called up Nikki, and Nikki's a great sounding board for me. And I said, Six, what's his deal with this feature stuff? And he's like, well, it's like having a ballad like in the 80s. He's like, it's something you got to do. And I went, well, why do I have to do it? He's like, well, it's about algorithms and all this other stuff and Spotify. And I'm not aware of any of that stuff because I don't really, when I buy a record, I either go to the store or I go on iTunes. I still buy records, which is funny. And so Nicky said to me, he's like, you need a band that's got like a big presence. So as soon as he said that, I went, well, how about you? Why don't you play bass? I was like, I've been on tour with you. I've seen you play bass. A lot of people think you don't even play bass. I was like, why don't you play bass on a record? Let's put it on the fucking track and we'll fly it up the flagpole. And he did an amazing job. And all of a sudden he took this track and then it sounded like Motley Crue. He Motleyized it. And then with Phil Collin, then I was like, you know what? If we're gonna do this feature thing, what guitar players do I love? Of course, I love Joe Perry. You know what I mean? Jeff Beck, and all these other cats. And I was like, it might be cool. Maybe Phil might be interested in this because the cool thing when you're on tour with Alice Cooper and the Vampires, you get to meet people. Some people you connect with, some people you don't. Phil, I connected with. So I called up Phil. I said, hey, I got a track for you. You want to throw a solo down on some little bits? And Phil heard it. He's like, love it. Done. And that's how we got Phil. Really, it was like one of those things. Like, oh, cool. That was easy.
Yeah, sweet. And the album starts with the title track amid the sounds of there's crows squawking there, there's gusts of wind, and then an announcement of sorts. So, what was the thought process there? It's a powerful way to start the album.
Right? And when was the last time you heard a record start like that?
I don't think I have for a long time, and especially with a 6-minute track as well. It was very brave, but it's very well done.
I always look at it this way. When we were putting that together, I've always loved the way on the Diamond Dogs record, David Bowie opened up with Future Legend, and when I heard that intro, end in the years and the dust and dogs they rotting on set, and they did, and I was like, oh, that's stuck with me since I was a kid. And then when I heard Motley Crue do in the beginning on the Shout at the Devil record, I knew where they got that idea from. I was like, oh, they got that. And then I was like, you know what? It would be really cool if we had an intro that was a combination of both of them, but we make it like Crossbone Skully, and we got like almost like also like Pink Floyd, like the Machines, like something like that. I was thinking, and then when I put on the voice, that's when the whole thing really came together. When I found that voice, because Johnny Depp, he was going to be the voice of Scully, but he was too busy doing all this stuff, and I just found this Stephen Hawking app, and I just put it on there and I typed it in, slowed the pitch down and the process, and I just hit play, recorded it, and that was it. It was one of those moments I went, thank you, universe. It was weird like that.
Right, that's wicked. We sort of touched on this a few times, but the album was produced by the legendary Mutt Lange, who is famous for his work with AC/DC, amongst others. So there's more than a hint of AC/DC in the album. So how much of that was his influence and how much of that was natural?
His for Mutt Lange is the executive producer on the record. That's what he always wanted to be stated as, the executive producer. The guys who produced the record is my dear friend Tommy Denanda, who introduced me to Mutt Lange and the music to Mutt Lange. And so Tommy and myself co-produced the record and we wrote the songs. And then when Mutt heard it, he got it. And then let me just write something down. And he was heard it, called me up, and he said, I think there's something here, and I'd like to take a crack at this thing. I want to work on something. And I was like blown away. I started crying, dude, like a baby, because I was like, Mutt Lange. Because we were just saying, let's see if you can get Mutt Lange. He's like, all right, I'll call him up. And Tommy called him, and Mutt Lange called me. And having him work on it, it's a dream come true, because it's like all of those sounds is the sounds that I love. And always all of that stuff, the arrangements, the vocals, that's stuff that I've been trying to work at my whole life to get. And all of a sudden I got to work with the guy who actually did all that stuff. And he's the greatest producer ever. And the way I look at it is, I don't care about selling records or anything. We already won. We got Mutt Lange. No one could say that,
Damn straight. And it's also a very heavily guitar influenced album, mate. And I guess that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Tommy Denanda, he did a wonderful job on this record. And he's an amazing guitar player, incredible musician. And he really outdid himself on this. We had a great time doing it. And I got to tell you, it's like when I hear the guitar parts in that record, Chris, it's like, they're incredible guitar parts, and to have Anna and Sam do the tracks and play this stuff live with the band, it's been a challenge. But I got to tell you, man, they are nailing it. Because I was worried, because I knew the parts were intricate, And I was thinking, I want to have young people in this band, and find young musicians. And the greatest thing was finding Anna and Sam that could play this stuff at their age. I'm not just saying that, but it's very impressive that they're playing this stuff.
It is. And you also play guitar with Alice Cooper's band, of course, and as part of Hollywood Vampires. So, what elements from those bands did you bring to Crossbone Skully?
Everything, everything. If you can't learn from those guys and bring that stuff into your own world, it's like that's the one greatest thing, man. I am so grateful that I get to play with these guys and I get to talk to Alice Cooper about Crossbone Skully every day. I get to talk to Johnny Depp and go, "What do you think of this, Jay? What do you think of this? Hey, Joe, what do you think of this?" And Nikki Six, Phil. I mean, dude, it's like I can't thank these guys enough. But like as far as the show, it's like Alice Cooper, man. It's like I learned everything from Coop.
Yeah. And so as we say, like this is your actual debut album as with your own band, Crossbone Skully. Like you've done albums before with other people, but what was the thought process going into your actual debut album? Like what did you want to make sure happened?
I wanted to make sure that there's a message in there, like it's powerful. I'm not just saying some stupid stuff about drinking, partying, and stuff, because that's not my life. This record's it's an unanchored record about survival, man. It's about doing what's right in the world. I'm not a preacher. I'm not some Jesus freak. You know what I mean? I'm just a guy out here trying to do the right thing. And just trying to treat people right. Have a little empathy and just always do the right thing, because it's really hard out there. The world's a tough place. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And I'm always trying to, how do we bring a little light to this stuff, And with Skully, hopefully, it could bring some light to some people.
And is this your first band as actual lead singer?
Yeah, you know what, man, Chris? And it's fucking awesome. I love it.
You've done a
Like,
job, bro. Like you sound like you were born to do it.
you know what the greatest thing is? I've been waiting for this moment. What's that song? I've waiting for this moment my whole life. Whatever the hell that song is, I forgot what it is. But the cool thing about it is I got to put the band. I was able to put the band together that I want. Because I'm a very picky guy when it comes to like musicians and music. You know, um, and to me, it was very important to have number one a girl that could play her ass off on guitar. Because this is all Alice Cooper. When you say, what do you learn from these guys? What do you bring to it? This is Alice Cooper. I saw what happened with Orianti. I saw what happened with Nita Strauss. And I'm like going, hey, you know what? I want to find my Orianti. I want to find my Nita Strauss. And I found her on Instagram, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
And the other guys too, like Sam Bam, another guy, young guy in LA. I've been watching that kid for years. Amazing. Having Chris Wise, an elderly statesman, fucking great bass player. I love him. And having Glenn Sobel he's played drums on every song we've ever had, And the only thing right now with the live band, the drum situation, when you look at the videos, there's been a couple different drummers, but we have Glenn doing these shows right now because one guy hurt his hand, cut it, and the girl wasn't available. So Tuesday.
Wait, now speaking of live shows, you are kicking off tonight, I believe. So where's the tour taking you?
Tour's taking us to right down the street to Hollywood for the next 3 days. We're rehearsing at the Lair, the Hollywood Vampires, and we got 2 shows, and then the record comes out, and then next year we're going to start setting up gigs. We're going to start setting up shows, see who wants to like take us out on tour, see what we can get, and just keep on pushing forward. Staying positive and moving forward. That's the whole idea.
Is Australia in the mix there?
Australia's always in the mix.
Oh,
You
yeah.
kidding me? I think Australia, the Aussies would eat this shit up, dude. Come on, we got to get down there.
Mate, I second that notion, bro. You bring this show down under, and you guys would rock the fuck out of it.
Right? I can't wait till we have that opportunity, man. Totally.
Very sweet. Now, before we let you go, I've got a new segment I've started called Photo Bombs. So basically, I troll through your social media before I chat with you, pick out a couple of photos that I want to know a bit more about, and then throw them at you. So I've come up with, where are you? This one. Tell us a bit more about that.
Oh, so that's Riley Donahue. He's the kid who did the animation for the Evil World Machine short film called Thing One. And the guy in the costume is
Is it Mark?
no, it's
Joshua?
he's got Scott would know. We did
Ellen?
this Comic-Con thing and he dressed up as Skully. And that's what we did. And he was Scully there. And it was really cool. I forgot his name. Damn it, I'm sorry.
Right. So that's actually your mascot, is it?
Yeah, he's it's like Eddie, that's Mark Wilkinson. That's Mark Wilkinson for you who did the Iron Maiden stuff. He was the one who came up with the Eddie, Scully artwork.
So tell us a bit more about Scully. What's his backstory?
Scully's he's a superhero coming back to kill every human on Earth. That's rotten. He's gonna eat everyone's sins, and he doesn't get in the way because if God gets in the way, he's gonna kill him too, and he's gonna eat the devil. That's who Scully is.
He's just become my number one hero. All right, I've got this one finally for you, mate. Like, I thought Johnny Depp was supposed to be the pirate, mate.
You know what? Like you said, where do you get all this stuff from? If you can't get any from these guys, I mean, yeah, that's my brother, man. I can't tell you nothing but great things about him. He's generous. He's the most generous friend, and I'm grateful that he's in my life. And he's like one of my best friends. Seriously, he gives me anything I need, dude. And he's a wonderful human being, dude. And he's like the greatest actor out there too. I get to play in a band with like guy's a great guitar player. I can do everything great. He paints great. He does everything great. He looks great. I'm like, God fucking loves you, man. Thanks.
I was going to say he's a bloody good musician too. Like people don't give him enough credit. He's a musician.
If you're playing with Jeff Beck, I'm telling you right now, Jeff Beck ain't gonna play with nobody who's not talented. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Great, brother. Okay, guys. Well, thanks very much for your time this morning. It's well worth getting out of bed early for, but Evil World Machine is out November 22nd. It's probably one of the best albums I've heard this year, guys. So best of luck with it, and we'll see you when you come out to Australia next year, hopefully.
Chris, thank you so much for having myself and Anna, and we'll see you guys soon, hopefully. And thank you for spreading all the positivity and giving us a good thumbs up, man. I appreciate that. It makes me feel good, man.
My pleasure. Enjoy your first show.
Right on, dude. Thanks, brother.
Thanks.
Cheers. Right on.